Welcome, y'all. Welcome to the law, your money, and you. I'm Roberta Saphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts.
And I'm Camille Barron. I'm a health insurance advisor and financial coordinator, also in Massachusetts. And right between the two of us, we have
A Gary
guest.
sandwich.
That's right, a Gary sandwich. This is Gary Bloom, and Roberta's going to introduce him.
Yeah, I am very proud to introduce Gary Bloom. Gary Bloom, the last time he was on, his claim to fame was he just got his master's in taxation. He's an attorney. He's a very good attorney, and he specializes in tax law. No, actually, it's not tax, it's patent law. And besides that, he's gone into acting. And I think the last time he was on, he talked about the Screen Actors Guild and the lost things that you might run into from that. It's not just hooray, hip, hip, hooray in there. But anyway, welcome, Gary. Welcome back. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, Roberta. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Camille. Thank you both for having me in this Gary sandwich. So I'm attorney Gary Bloom. I am a licensed attorney. I've got a second law degree in intellectual property. I have recently moved into acting and most recently into screenwriting and production.
Fantastic.
But you haven't
Congratulations.
given up the law either. The people are still after you.
Oh, they're after me. And some people want to be legally represented too.
Let's go back first, if we could,
Sure.
and have you give us an update on what's been going on in your law practice, and then we're going to move on to your second quote unquote career.
Sure.
Yes.
So since I was on the show last time, I litigated a tort case in district court
And
in,
a tort case is, a lot of people. don't
this
know.
was a property damage case.
Okay.
A neighbor's tree fell and damaged a property owner's house. And so we sued for property damage. So that was a lot of fun. It was my first time litigating in a really long time.
What happened, because I'm an insurance person, how did you coordinate with the insurance for that?
Well-
Yours and theirs.
We did not coordinate with the insurance. The property owner decided not to file a property damage claim. She brought the property owner to court so that he would pay for the damages to her home
Oh,
because he was liable due to, the fact that he had diseased trees that he didn't care for, and he was negligent and not properly maintaining his trees. So we went to court
yes, and
and we lost.
are you serious?
Yes.
Why?
I have no idea. It turns out in district court, you must ask the judge in advance to find facts and make rulings of law so that you can truly understand the verdict.
Mhm.
Without that, the judge can just say, they say who won and they don't say why.
Oh, really?
So that was the end of that case.
Mm,
Live and learn,
boy.
live and learn.
Mm,
But it was a lot of fun. I got to do an opening and examination, cross-examination, closing, all the things I had learned, a million years ago in law school, but I'm not a litigator, but I'm in the process of becoming one. So it was a great
Besides
opportunity.
that, you have your expertise in patent law.
Yes, I'm an intellectual property attorney. In fact, when I got my second law degree, which is a LLM or Master of Laws in Intellectual Property, I also took the two favorite classes. The most fun classes I took were depositions and criminal motions. They were
Oh, yeah.
essentially,
That's-
for litigation.
A little more complicated than a tree.
Little.
When Roberta and I first started doing this show, one of the topics we would cover is property damage, including insurance versus
Yeah,
filing
the
suit.
tree on the
And
house.
we always used that one. Remember,
Yeah.
that was one of our favorite hypothetical topics
That
there,
and the dog bite.
the
So-
dog bite.
So tree nuisance law is like a special version of nuisance law. And what's interesting in Massachusetts, like many other states, a property owner in Massachusetts is not liable for the damage caused by his healthy tree.
Oh,
Oh,
So if you
yeah.
live next to
Yeah.
somebody and their tree, their roots are growing into your property and messing up your plumbing, or the branches are overhanging your property and leaves and sap are falling on your property and causing you distress, the other property owner is not liable for that because the tree is healthy. But if the tree is unhealthy and something happens, then the tree owner can be liable.
Boy,
So
Well,
that's called the Massachusetts rule.
is it the rule in other states or just
No.
Massachusetts?
There are other states that follow the same rule, but other states say that you can sue for even damage caused by a healthy tree.
Oh,
But in
Mm.
Massachusetts, you cannot sue for damage caused by a healthy tree under
Mm.
tree nuisance law.
Hmm.
You could only,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so what about, the, acting?
Acting.
Well, before we go into
Oh,
that,
okay.
because I just want to
Mm.
cover this other
Oh, okay,
aspect, and
go
then we'll
ahead.
go into acting.
Absolutely.
With respect to your intellectual property, with the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, how does that impact that profession of yours?
I think we should ask an AI engine what it thinks will be the impact. AI, so as far
Yeah.
as law goes, AI, first of all, there are many people who believe that AI can replace just about any human consultant or advisor.
Mhm.
Like the, driverless cars.
Well, yes, I mean, that's not really a consultant, but
Oh,
it's also an excellent example of how AI can revolutionize our society and our existence.
amazing.
But anytime you go, I mean, unfortunately, AI could replace financial consultants and advisors. Sorry, Camille. It could possibly at some point replace attorneys. Sorry, Roberta. Sorry, Gary. Anytime you need to ask a person a question and get an answer, AI can pretty much do it better because when you talk to one person, they're telling you the knowledge they've acquired from their personal experience, their teachers and professors, people that they've spoken with. And when you're getting information from an AI engine, it's gathering information from millions of people, countless sources of information that you just don't have access to as a person. So AI is incredibly powerful and it will eventually cost a lot of people their jobs.
Mm, mhm.
And hopefully,
Well, most of them don't want to work anyway.
well, that's true. There you go.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you know, at some point, the AI consultants will do a better job than humans. So if people are going to lose their jobs, at least hopefully the AI will be doing a better job than the people were.
How is the screening of the information that people would get if they do a search on, and they get a lot of AI responses? There's a lot of concern about, fake truth, so to speak.
Well, you know, Camille, if it's on the internet, it must be true. So no, it's a common problem. There's a lot of disinformation available on the internet, and it's unfortunate because people get steered wrong all the time. Hopefully, the people who generate these AI engines will have measures in place to control the data that gets ingested. Basically, AIs ingest data before they can, the same way we consume food, ingest food to nourish our bodies. AI engines ingest data. They get trained by learning, gathering information from external sources, and they internalize it so that they can then, generate it as part of use it to generate their output.
As far as I can tell, though, I don't see any evidence that that is even in place.
I don't know that part. I don't know,
I know there's a lot of talk, but I don't think anything has actually been put in place.
which is why they need to use financial advisors who are people, lawyers who are people, until AI is more developed and more mature.
Well, I understand they have, especially my granddaughter's boyfriend, he's been working on something, and so have other people, where the AI, they duplicate somebody's voice.
They have something called deep fakes, which used to be like cutting edge technology, and now it's super easy to do. But yes, you can reproduce someone's voice, you can reproduce someone's face. They could take this
Amazing.
video of us and put the Three Stooges, Larry, Moe, and Curly, on our faces and have the same facial expressions, but with somebody else's face. The technology exists to do that.
Yeah.
It's all AI,
Amazing, amazing.
but that's, they have spoofs. They've had some obvious spoofs of presidential debates, but at the same time, you could release a message that 90% of the people would think was a real message from a president or former president or presidential candidate and believe it. And that's what's scary.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
AI is incredibly powerful.
Right. So, I mean,
But at the same time, I would add that AI can also be used to solve crime,
oh,
right? AI can be used to analyze data, massive amounts of data, predict patterns, and help solve crimes.
Hmm.
So it's like anything else. It's a tool, right? It's
yeah.
not good or bad in
interesting.
and of itself. It's how it's used. The same way a car can be used to take you from home to a doctor's appointment, that same car can be used to kill someone.
Mhm.
It's just any other tool. It's all about how it's used
Sure.
and by whom it's used.
It's fascinating.
It's good
Just like
stuff.
the internet.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
just another tool.
So shall we get into
Yeah,
the other career
Hmm.
that you have embarked in?
So that's actually career number 3. Career number
Mhm.
1 was software development. Career number 2 is law. Career number 3 is entertainment, acting, producing. I even got my first director's credit the other day, which was,
Congratulations.
thank you,
oh,
pleasant
yeah.
surprise.
Well, we were fortunate enough to see you in a wonderful movie called Another Day in America.
Yeah, which
That's
was in
true.
Boston there at
It was
the.
shot up in Woburn.
theater.
Can you
Oh,
just tell
sure.
without
Sure.
spilling the beans, just a summary of what that
Yeah,
movie's
Another
about?
Day in
Sure.
America. That
It's
was cool.
basically what's happening in the film is the company where the filming takes place has been acquired by another company. So there's a merger and there's a lot of stress that goes along with that, a lot of rumors. So the film delves into the personal lives and the interrelations between the people in this company that's basically been acquired.
Hmm.
And that's what the film's about.
Oh, we can't say what happened.
No.
They have
Don't
to,
know.
they have to go and see for
Yes.
themselves.
So Another
Really
Day in
is
America, it's
amazing.
being shopped right now. It's for sale. And hopefully it'll be picked up within the next few months. And then it'll be available, either it'll have a theatrical release, which people can go to theaters and see it, or it'll be on streaming.
Excellent. Well, we wish you all the best.
Thank
because
you.
It was excellent.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you were excellent. in
Oh, thank
that
you so much. I
too.
appreciate that. I'll
Mhm.
pay you that $20 later on. For every compliment I pay them, it cost me a
Mhm.
fortune to be on the show. The other thing I've done since that was I actually went to New York and shot my first national commercial.
Oh,
We saw that.
Yeah, for T-Mobile.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it
for
was for
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh.
was
Metro Flex
interesting.
by T-Mobile.
That was interesting. Did they release that?
Oh yeah, it's out
Oh,
on
that's-
YouTube now.
We
Oh,
gotta
it's
check
on
that one out.
YouTube.
A friend of mine
Yeah.
contacted me and said, "Hey, I just saw your commercial on Facebook." I'm like, I didn't even know it had been released until he told me that he saw it.
So it would have been on Facebook too?
So he must have seen it
Mhm.
as Facebook advertising. There's a
Oh,
6.5 minute clip on YouTube, and I think they're extracting excerpts and using as individual.
that was interesting. It was an interesting commercial.
Stars
didn't-
Luis Guzman, who was, from the recent series Wednesday, the spinoff from the Addams Family, but it's about the daughter, Wednesday Addams,
Oh, yeah.
by Jenny
Addams.
Ortega.
I'm not into that stuff. I mean, if you told me you were on something, I'd go out of my way to find it.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
Is it okay to say my son was in that movie?
Sure.
My son was in that movie too.
Jonathan Saphire, happy
Yeah.
to be on set with him.
Yeah, Another Day in America. And the funny thing is, it is another day in America.
It
Yep,
is,
It is.
because the topic is so common now, acquisitions and mergers,
And the stress that
the stress that goes
they go
along with it.
them, yep,
It's happening all the time.
yep.
Well, tell us about too, what else you've been doing besides that? You've been meeting with other people on other movies or other sets?
So I audition for roles all the time. I get callbacks all the time. Basically, when you submit an audition for a role, they like you, they call you back. So I get, I'm submitting for roles. I submitted for a role this morning before coming here. I actually just got back a couple days ago from LA. I went out to LA for a couple weeks to a new aspect of my entertainment career, which now is film financing, film funding.
Oh,
I help people who have scripts and projects get funding. So
Oh,
we met with
cool.
investors a couple weeks ago, pitched 14 projects from 3 different clients, and 4 of those projects are getting optioned.
Congratulations on that
So
too.
the movies, people think, oh, movies, oh, I just go and I try out and I did that, but there's more to it than that. You have to, like you're finding for films and sponsors, you look for sponsors too. Who pays for that? Like when you go out there, do they pay for it? Do you end up paying for it, or do you add it on afterwards? Or how does that work?
You mean the last trip out to LA?
Yeah,
That was on me.
that was on
That's,
your,
it's one of my businesses to connect investors to producers. So that's part of my business. So no one was paying my expenses. I was paying my
you were paying
expenses.
your expenses?
Yes. But
Cost of
hopefully,
doing business.
exactly,
Mm.
No, that's
exactly.
interesting. So do you add it into your expenses there? Is it more than one? I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I'll get
how
to
it
write the
works.
expenses off for my business, at tax time.
And then, when the people call you about the law, to do, like, do you do a lot of patent law? Is patent law, is the part of the movie, setting up a movie, is that part of patent law?
No, patent law, patents protect inventions, right?
Oh,
Ironically, one of my producers, one of my clients, does have something that he thinks is an invention. So at some point we'll sit down and talk about it, and I'll see if it's, worth patenting. We'll have that conversation. But for the most part, patent law has nothing to do with entertainment industry.
How about
Mm.
scripts and copyright law?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely,
good question.
yes. For those of you out there, screenwriters, songwriters, you always want to make sure you register your works for copyright with the Library of Congress or the US Copyright Office before you shop them. Because if you do that and somebody tries to steal your work, it's much easier to collect money if you have to go to court. And the reason I say that is if you ever want to sue somebody for copyright infringement because they've stolen your work, the courts make you, the federal courts, you have to go to federal court for the most part. You have to register your work with the Library of Congress before you can even go to federal court.
Mm.
Isn't there a statute of limitations, like it's only good for so many years?
What, the copyright
The
registration?
copyright.
No, copyright registration is good for, well, first, so copyright registration is different from copyright protection. When you fix a work of art in tangible medium, if I write a song on paper, or I type a screenplay into my computer, or I carve a statue, once I've done that, once I fixed it so that somebody else can read it, touch it, see it, that is protected under copyright law. Registration is different. Registration is you want to make it official. You want to register with the government that you own that copyright, to put people on notice to not steal your work, because if you register your copyright before someone steals it, by statute, you're entitled to a minimum amount of damages such that you don't have to prove what's called actual damages. You can say, you know what, I don't want to prove actual damages. I want to take the $2,500 minimum guaranteed statutory damages from the copyright statute. So now I don't have to prove my damages. And anybody who tries to steal a work that's registered for copyright in advance knows that now the person whose work they've stolen, it's that much easier for them to be able to win in court. They don't have to prove.
They would want to sue for more than 2,500.
Well, it
in
depends.
This day and age.
Well, maybe it depends. Maybe I steal your work and I sell it to somebody else for $20. If you need to prove your damages, all you can really prove is $20, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you could sue me for $20, but if you had registered your copyright in advance before I stole it, you could sue me for, you could say, well, I could go for the $20, which are actual damages, which I can prove, or I could fall back on the statutories, which are at least 2,500. So
Mm.
if I know your work isn't registered, if you haven't registered for copyright, and I could steal it and probably say, yeah, she's not going to sue me. She's not going to sue me for $20.
Is that for any literary or music or
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah.
There was a case last year, I believe. I forgot who the musical artists were now, but a band that recorded music, there was a suit brought against the band because it was stolen from the original writer. I
Stuff
can't
like
remember.
that
Yeah, I don't
happens
remember who now.
all the time. which is why it's so important to register your stuff in advance, because as I mentioned, if you ever want to go to court and sue somebody for copyright infringement, the courts won't hear your case unless you've registered for copyright.
Hmm.
So you gotta register for copyright. If you're gonna have to register for copyright, you might as well do it in advance. If your work is really good and you think someone's gonna want to steal it, register it in advance.
Mm,
So for me, I shop screenplays
Hmm.
and I won't shop anything that has not been registered for copyright.
good, excellent.
It's
So-
just,
So don't they have where you have something and somebody might change something a little bit around? And yet the basis is your work? But they're saying, well, no, it's not your work because this ended differently or this something.
so if that's the case, you're pretty much gonna be busted for copyright infringement. And the reason is, when you have to go to court to prove copyright infringement, you have to show access to your work and what's called substantial similarity,
Oh,
Hmm.
right? Now, if I wrote something and I've never shared it with anybody, nobody has ever seen it, and you write something that's almost exactly the same as what I've written, I can't prove copyright infringement because you never got a chance to see what I wrote.
yeah.
Just because it's similar doesn't mean that you copied it. Copyright infringement means you literally copied from me.
Mhm.
So if we look at a sunset and we both write poems about the sunset that we just saw, and our poems are exactly the same, there's no copyright infringement because neither one of us copied from the other.
Yeah, interesting.
And the same way, there's a news story, right? Some big robbery. So two people decide to write short films about the robbery.
Hmm.
The short films are going to be very similar, right? If they're based on the same facts. But if they didn't copy one from the other, then there's no copyright infringement. The other thing is you cannot copyright facts. You cannot copyright history. You can only copyright written expression. Written expression. So if you wrote a book, if you write a screenplay about the robbery you witnessed, you can get copyright protection on your screenplay,
Mhm.
but not on the fact that that the bank was robbed.
Mm.
Not about, the person entered at this time, they left at that time, they had these weapons. Those facts you cannot protect. So somebody could read your screenplay,
Yeah,
take those facts out and write their own screenplay. What they had copied from you was not protectable because it wasn't your written expression. They were copying your facts
Mm.
that you got from somewhere else.
sure. Now, getting back to your acting career, and the other career or the expansion of that. How did, you started out mainly with the acting and
Yes.
you also were a patent attorney.
Yes,
So when you say you shopped to producers, right? You shopped the actual screenplay? The screenplay had already been written
so yes,
typically?
so I had a couple of screenwriters who I was representing, they were my clients, and we were shopping their screenplays to producers and investors, trying to get somebody to either produce the project or fund the project.
Mm.
And if you end up at a studio, then you basically have both, right? You got people who will fund and make the project.
Mm.
So that's when I was representing screenwriters, helping them try to get their projects made. Now it's a little different. Now I am working with, well, I guess in some ways it's pretty much the same now that I think about it. But I'm working with people that, but on more, I don't want to say mass production. That's not the right term, but I'm working with people now more formally to,
More than
Yeah.
one item.
yes, but so like to acquire funding for their projects to help them get made. So it's very similar to what I was doing before with my first two screenwriter clients. Now I'm just officially becoming, I'm in film financing. I just wasn't officially in that. I was really more in production, but now I'm more in film financing. But I'm planning on being in production as well. And hopefully in a year, I'll produce my first project. All
And you're
myself.
gonna star in it?
Of course.
Well, you know something on that, we only have a few more minutes to go, and what a nice way to wind it up. It's absolutely fascinating. So I wanna know, you're letting your hair grow, you look more like Clint Eastwood, I thought maybe you got a part as a cowboy.
So I was in a project last month and I
Yeah.
had the long hair. That's what they wanted. And I'm waiting to shoot to finish the shot, which will be at the end of this
How
month.
long is long, like?
This
really?
is pretty long for me. This is,
Yeah, it is.
it gets in my eyes. That's long. I would never let my hair get in my eyes, but I have to keep this until the end of the month when I finish that project, and then I can cut my hair, which I'm really, really looking forward to.
You know, what impresses me the most is that your multiple careers, I think, are all tied together.
They do.
Because the law and the entertainment industry and the facets of each that you're specializing in are like, they go hand in hand. So you were very smart to incorporate all of those. And one of the reasons we wanted you on is because sometimes our viewers are thinking, gee, I'd like to do something else besides this job.
Right.
And maybe they want to retire, maybe they just want to have another outlet for expression. And it is definitely feasible to do that. And it's
Mhm.
much easier if you find what your natural talents are and your experience is and try to mold them together.
And not be afraid either, that this shows you that at any age.
And can you speak up into my good ear?
I think we're gonna really, pretty well wind up now.
Okay.
You see, with that, just gotta love this guy.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're so grateful that you could make it. I know you've had a
He's
busy
also
travel
on-
schedule.
He's also on our advisory board, which
Yes.
he
That's true.
helps us, make decisions with, where we should be going, and he's
Mm.
very good, and people always ask for him, and, they like him, but I don't know, we're getting a little gray.
I know. Thanks for noticing.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Gary.
My
I
pleasure.
think we'll
Thanks for
wrap it
having
up
me
with
back.
that.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And to our viewers, if you have any questions or you'd like more information on this topic or anything else that's related, please let us know. We want to hear from you because this is your show, the law, your money, and you.